I haven't uploaded a video in a long fucking time, and I was actually gonna make a video about Taco Bell today because I work there and I have so many stories and rants about it. But then I went on my computer and I saw this.
So you guys have been asking for my thoughts and opinion on the issue of abortion for quite some time, so here I go. First off, I know plenty of the comments are going to say something like, "You can't talk about this issue, you're a man and this is a woman's only issue."
I think men can talk about abortion. They have all the rights to have their own opinions. I don't care. I have the right to disagree with you.
Well, with that logic, I shouldn't talk about feminism because feminism is a woman's only issue. Or white people shouldn't have helped with the civil rights movement because it was a black person only issue. Whether I'm a man or not, I'm going to speak out when I see something I don't agree with.
It's funny because I agree with all of that stuff that he just said, but that is just gonna go downhill. And I kind of like this guy too, but he kind of looks like Onision and sounds like him, and it kind of put me off. But I agreed with most of his videos, and then he made this, and I'm just kind of like, let's continue.
So speaking with facts and speaking with science, here's the problem with abortion. Problem number 1, lies and inhumanity. Pro-choice advocates, the media, and the far left are consistently telling us lies about what goes on during an abortion. The most heard lie is definitely, my body, my choice. Is that really true? Is the fetus really just part of a woman's body? I don't think it is. First off, the baby has their own blood type, entirely separate from the mother's. This has even been known to lead to diseases where the mother's immune system reacts against her baby's blood type. Again, proving that the fetus blood type is indeed different.
So he's saying that because the fetus develops independently from the mother, it's not your body. And I kind of half agree with that because it's not. It's another body. But so is a tapeworm. And fetus is basically a vegetable on life support until you give birth to it. It cannot survive until you give birth to it. So I see his point, but this is all under the presumption that he's like religious or something, because I'm an atheist, so I see no value in a very early developed fetus, especially if you're not wanting to get pregnant. I can see if you wanted to get pregnant and you had a miscarriage, that would be probably pretty devastating, but this is just like, I don't want to get pregnant. If I did, it would become a fucking smoothie, because that's not happening.
Your body does not have a separate blood type. Secondly, the baby has their own set of DNA. A test which took place in 2010 works by separating the baby's DNA from the blood of the mother to search for possible disease or genetic mutations. During pregnancy, the mother's blood contains about 10% of the DNA of the unborn child. They first mapped the DNA of the mother and father, and then took a blood sample from the mother. Within the 4 billion DNA molecules, they separated the fetal DNA strands that were buried deep within it. The researchers were then able to piece together a genetic-wide map of the fetus from the plasma sequencing data. This study is showing very clearly that the DNA of the baby is indeed separate from the mother. Your body does not have separate DNA. You see, just if the baby is inside of you, doesn't mean it's part of you. When you sit inside your car, you are not part of your car. Sure, you rely on aspects of the car to keep you alive, like the seatbelt, airbag, and the car properly functioning, but you are not the car. Your body does not have a separate sex, blood type, DNA, and so on. You have a separate body forming inside of you. Something forming inside of you doesn't mean that it's you. Another lie that we're told is that it's just a blob of cells. It's not even a human yet. Despite the fact there's a good amount of science to prove life does indeed begin at conception, let's humor this argument for just a second and take a little bit of a closer look. Alright, here's what the fetus looks like at 3 weeks. Right now, it's what many would consider a clump of cells.
The fetus is a clump of cells because it starts off as a zygote, and a zygote is literally a clump of cells. And no shit, life begins at conception. How else would you be born without being conceived? That's retarded, pro-choicers. I'm sorry, I'm one of you, but that's a retarded argument.
But this clump of cells is the beginning of a human life. Even if this was just a clump of cells, does that really justify killing it? If I walked up to a bird's nest and picked up the eggs it had just laid and crushed them one by one, I'm not killing a bird, but I'm killing the start of one. Does that justify me destroying the eggs?
Chicken egg is also the start of a bird. Fertilized or unfertilized, it's technically the start of a bird. And a lot of people eat fertilized eggs, so is that murder? I assume this guy isn't vegan, but I still think that's kind of a good point.
According to U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 66% of abortions are performed during the first 8 weeks, and 92% are performed in the first 13 weeks. The baby's heartbeat begins at 6 weeks. By 7 weeks, pain sensory receptors appear in the mouth area, and you can hear the heartbeat at 8 weeks. By 10 weeks, all components of the brain and spinal cord are formed, and nerves link the stem and spinal cord to all tissues and organs of the body.
I found out I was pregnant, and it was hopefully early, and I didn't wait a long time before getting a pregnancy test. I would go to the doctor as soon as I fucking could and get that thing scrambled. Why are you waiting 6 to 12 weeks to get the thing nixed out of your uterus? Don't wait that long, because then you're going to have more, because then they're going to give you the ultrasound, you can see the little heartbeat, but if you get it as soon as you possibly can, then it's literally just a little sea monkey ball of cells. So
at 12 weeks, the fetus sucks its thumb, kicks, makes fists and faces, and has the beginning of baby teeth. And finally, at 13 weeks, the baby has developed their own set of fingerprints, and the veins and organs are clearly visible through the skin. Some professionals even believe the fetus to feel real physical pain as early as 8 weeks. One professional said that by 8 weeks, the spinal reflexes are developed enough to feel pain. When doctors first began invading the sanctuary of the womb, they did not know that the unborn baby would react to pain in the same fashion as a child would. But they soon learned he did.
It does not comprehend being killed, it's just a nerve reflex. Like how if you dump salt on frog legs, they'll move. Or like a fish. But it's most likely just a fucking reaction because the nerves are developing and the nerves are going to twitch back when you touch them or disrupt them. That's why they kick around and shit. And yeah, I don't see his point.
If you still believe this to be a blob of cells, you're wrong and you're in denial of science. The fetus is a human being, no matter what stage of development they're in. With this, it's obvious that killing the unborn baby is inhumane. No matter how you spin the issue, it's inhumane to kill an innocent life, no matter how small.
Guarantee this guy smashes like cockroaches. Like unless he's only talking about human life, then he's a fucking hypocrite. And I'm not even a vegan. I would make a video against vegans. But his whole argument is like, oh, it's immoral to kill a life. But see, this is where the abortion argument is fucking stupid because we're on 2 different pages. The pro-choice people are often on the page of life does not have some divine meaning. So if you think it has a divine meaning, that's great. But the people who don't are going to be like, no, I don't want this thing growing inside of me. I'm going to get it removed. Please leave me alone while I do that procedure.
I made it clear that the unborn baby is indeed a human who has their own set of DNA, blood type, and can feel pain early on. So it only makes sense that taking something like that, something innocent, and killing them is inhumane.
My name is Dr. Anthony Levatino. I'm a practicing obstetrician gynecologist and I've performed over 1,200 abortions. This is the most frequently performed abortion and is used typically from 5 to 13 weeks of pregnancy. The abortionist takes a suction catheter like this one. This is a 14 French suction catheter. It's clear plastic, about 9 inches long, and it has a hole through the center. It is inserted through the cervix into the uterus.
Basically, he's going to show a video about an abortionist, and the abortionist demonstrates how the abortion is performed with the really powerful vacuum tube up your pooch, okay? And I don't know, but maybe it's just neat, but what they show looks pretty quick and painless, even if it can feel pain. It's going to be dead like that. It's not going to, like, haunt you. It's not going to feel anything. It's not going to be like, oh no, I'm dying. It's going to be dead. It's like smushing a bug. It's going to be dead very fast, and that's the end of it. And then life goes on.
The suction machine is then turned on with a force 10 to 20 times more powerful than your household vacuum cleaner. The baby is rapidly torn apart by the force of the suction and squeezed through this tubing down into the suction machine, followed by the placenta.
A famous video released back in 1984 called The Silent Scream documented a 12-week-old baby being aborted. Keep in mind, 92% of abortions are performed up to 13 weeks.
Now the heart rate has speeded up dramatically, and the child's movements are violent at this point. It does sense aggression in its sanctuary. It is moving away. One can see it moving to the left side of the uterus in an attempt, a pathetic attempt, to escape the inexorable instruments which the abortionist is using to extinguish its life.
Fucking nerves reacting to touch. It's not trying to desperately, futilely get away. It doesn't. Stop. Just stop. Please.
Former abortionist Dr. Paul Jarrett recounted the terrible things he witnessed while providing abortions. His 23rd abortion was his last, where he recounted, "The water broke, but then nothing more would come out. When I withdrew the curette, I saw that it was plugged up with the leg of the baby, which had been torn off. I then changed techniques and used ring forceps to dismember the 13 or 14 week-sized baby. Inside the remains of the rib cage, I found a tiny beating heart. I was finally able to remove the head and look squarely into the face of a human being that I had just killed."
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up, I gotta admit, but assuming that's true, why the fuck do they wait so long to get an abortion? That's kind of fucked up. It's disturbing. If you're having an abortion at a point where it comes out and you can see a face, you did something wrong. It shouldn't look more than like a sea monkey or something. I would advise, please get abortions early on so you don't have to go through that trauma. Please use birth control so you don't have to go through that shit. Ultimately, I still think that the life is irreplaceable. But if you just use proper birth control and fucking got the pregnancy test as soon as possible and got the abortion as soon as possible, this kind of things would not happen and we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Even abortionists themselves know the inhumanity that comes with the procedure. Should it really be a discussion? Most anyone would agree surgically ripping apart a human being and pulling it from the womb, the place that's meant to be safe, is inhumane and wrong on every level. There's no excuses you can make.
I wonder if this guy knows that you can get abortions on dogs. People do that, I heard. They find out their dog's pregnant because they didn't fucking get it spayed. I take it in, and they have a little puppy abortion. I wonder if he's against that too. I mean, it is an innocent life, technically, but you can't make a new one too. I just wonder if he knows that they suck little puppies out with the tube, cut the mother up, and throw them in the trash can.
Problem 2. Excuses and logical fallacies. Several excuses are made in the name of abortion, but most of them are based more on myth and feeling instead of actual fact or truth.
Feeling like, oh gee, I'm going to have something growing inside me for my 9 months, and then it's going to shoot out of my vagina, and it's going to be extremely painful, and I might die if something goes wrong. It seems kind of like a good feeling to go off of for a decision to keep something inside of you or not. That's just my opinion.
Here are some of the excuses we hear debunked. But what about the right of the mother to choose? The mother has a right to choose. She can choose whether she wants to have sex or not. She, as well as her partner, can choose to take the proper precautions to avoid pregnancy.
This is my favorite fucking part. She could choose to have sex or not, or take birth control. Yeah, but what about all the fucking people who do that and still get pregnant? They have to go through with the pregnancy because their birth control failed? That's fucking dumb. In my opinion, I think we should have some kind of insurance that if we can document that we've been on birth control, next thing get pregnant, we should be able to have an abortion for close to nothing. People who don't use birth control and go get knocked up, they should have to pay $500. But if I'm spending money, even if it's on insurance, to get birth control for the sole purpose of not getting pregnant, I want insurance to know that that thing is not going to live inside of me.
But once a child is conceived, does the child have a choice? Don't make an innocent life pay for your recklessness, your mistakes, and so on. The baby deserves rights just like me and just like you. But what about rape? Anytime you try to bring up abortion, someone is quick to jump up with the "what about rape" question, as if that somehow dismisses the entire argument.
I like how he doesn't even address the rape thing. He's like, oh, well, just as if that addresses the argument. Yeah, actually it does. He never says anything about it. Just my question for you, what the fuck is your name? Onision's brother. Do you think they should be able to have an abortion if they're raped? Or do you think they should still go through it and have to send it out to adoption and go through hours of labor just so you can have something live?
This, however, is nothing more than a knee-jerk reaction that is not founded on statistics or facts. Let's look at surveys conducted over a long span of years to get a general estimate for the reason behind abortions. Only 0.3% of abortions are performed because of rape. This entire rape argument is based on not even 1% of the reasons abortions are performed. 98.3% of abortions are done because the mother was too young or not ready/responsible, economic reasons, to avoid adjusting life, single mother, and so on. So let's start addressing the problem with abortion based on 98.3% of the reasons they are done, instead of hiding behind 0.3% of the reasons abortions are done. But what if the mother's life is in danger? Physical life of the mother as a reason for abortion only makes up 0.1% of abortions.
You're just gonna go over fucking statistics and not answer the question. The same with what if a mother's life is in danger? Like, you just go over, oh, it's a small statistic, so it doesn't matter. Well, what if? What the fuck is your opinion on that? Are you just gonna let them die because you would rather have this small little human maybe live? Like, if the mother's life is in danger, there's a high chance that she will not survive to pregnancy, and if she doesn't, the baby could die. So either way, you're probably gonna lose both of them. Oh my fucking god. Like, the mother's already a life that's had many years to develop and has personal relations with people and friends and family that care about them. I mean, it's sick, but like, the baby, sure, there's people awaiting its existence and they want to love it and everything. But would you really rather kill an adult person than like a little like thing that's going to die anyway if you don't help the mother? Like, what the fuck?
An even smaller statistic than rape, 0.1% as a reason for abortion being your prime justification for abortion, is honestly ridiculously faulty and not founded on stats.
I mean, that actually does happen in like lower developed countries where 9-year-olds are getting like raped and they accidentally get pregnant because they started developing too early, and they can't get an abortion because it's against the law. And then, you know what? They die.
What if the baby is born and has a bad life? This is by far one of the most ridiculous arguments I've ever heard. The baby might have a bad life. Oh, so let's just kill it now. You have no way of knowing what the baby's life will turn out to be.
It's funny because pro-lifers use this exact same argument, just in the reverse. What if it grows up to be the next Einstein? What if it grows up to be the next Hitler? Like, what the fuck is your point? These are both bad arguments on the pro-life and the pro-choice side.
There are many famous people who were almost aborted but were birthed instead and have grown up to have an impact on society. If this is the only excuse you have, you're out of excuses. Problem 3. People think abortion is the only option. I honestly hate it when pro-lifers refer to women who get abortions as baby murderers to guilt them for the decisions they've made. Many girls who get abortions are scared, confused, and honestly believe abortion to be their only option. I know it's very common for people to simply say, just put the baby up for adoption, like it's no big deal, but adoption is a very good alternative, and there's assistance you can seek which provides many benefits for an easier pregnancy.
See, the thing about adoption is that it could have a good life, but I don't know, in Hawaii, I guess there's a lot of people who are adopted, and a lot of them turn out really fucked up because they're stuck in the foster care system, and they don't get adopted correctly, and then they have a shit fucking life. And personally, if I had something inside of me that was going to have to come out as a full human, I would not want to do that, because I don't want to risk that they're going to have a shit life. Yes, there's a chance they could have a good life. Yes, this is kind of like the argument. It could be a good person or a bad person. But I don't want to take the risk that they're going to end up in some abusive household and get their life fucked. I would rather not have a kid at all. Thank you very much. And if they're like 13, like, you know, how you didn't address the rape thing or anything, you want a 13-year-old to go through labor, possibly have to have a C-section and have a giant scar and everything just so this thing can live, just so she can give it up for adoption and never see it and have to live with that? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Some adoption assistance provides you with housing, financial assistance, counseling, and your medical and adoption fees will be fully covered. There are other options available besides aborting and taking away the innocent life of a baby. So remember, it's not your body. You had your choice before the pregnancy. Abortion is inhumane, regardless of what anyone says, and there are other alternatives besides abortion.
I don't even know what to say. I'm just so angry. I saw this and I just had to get back to making videos because it's just so fucking stupid. Like, yes, there are other choices, but I don't get, is this guy religious or something? Like, does he have super value for human life? I just don't understand. Like, would he vote to this? What, for you people who are anti-abortion, like, what do you think the criminal punishment should be? I saw a comment on this video that said, oh, life in prison. Like, what the fuck? You know, they might not even be a good mother. If they keep it, they might not be a good mother. And the kid might get fucked because they're not ready. You put it into adoption, like you said, that could go both ways. I thought this guy might be okay, but then this just did it in for me. Like, some things I can understand people are like having different opinions, but then this is just like... So I know I said that how I don't really value life that much, especially if it's early on. So all I have to say is, in before, what if you were aborted? In before, does this mean killing toddlers is okay? Because no, please don't.